Hey everyone, it's Nancy. I thought that I would do a tutorial real quick to show y'all how I made the dress form tag. The first thing I did was I put sticky back canvas on top of some black chipboard and adhered it down, and I used my Cricut to cut it out. I think that this one is about 6.5 in size, maybe around 7 inches, and I used this Summer in Paris on this one. The other one I used the Forever Young cartridge, the dress form on that. So I took the dress form off my mat, and of course the whole thing is covered in the sticky back canvas, and I remove the canvas from the stand part so that the canvas is just on the dress form, so it looks like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out my birdcage out of grunge board. I like to use grunge board because you can move it and shape it, and that way it'll stand up rather than laying flat on the dress form. So let me cut that out real quick with a grunge board. Sorry, normally it's a lot faster. Let me just run this through to cut out that birdcage. Oh, pieces flying everywhere. Okay, so I got my birdcage cut out for my dress form. And while I have the machine out, I'm going to go ahead and emboss the wings. And these are the wings that Robin sent me in the Matchbox swap because I don't have this die. And I'm actually out of the grunge board wings that come in the Elements pack. I have some that are have texture on them already, but I want to add my own texture. So I'm going to put my base plate in there. And I'm going to take my little wings and I'm going to put them in the Cuttlebug jacket. That's the gears. I'm going to put down a plate, folder, plate, and send it through. And I'm going to back this back up through just to give it a little heavier impression. Okay, that's good. Okay, so my dress form is done and my bird cage is cut out. I'm going to move this out of the way, and then I'm going to start inking the dress form. I just moved all of this. Oh, the Vagabond is very heavy. Oh, let me check the camera. I just bumped it and make sure it's still okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So, I'm going to take the dress form. I'm going to put this mat here. You'll probably be able to see a little better. And I use, when I do it, I use several different distress inks. I'm going to use tea-dye, antique linen, frayed burlap, vintage photo, and walnut stain to create my colors. So let me just grab my get all of my blending pads ready. Pull them off of here. Alright, so I start with my lightest color. I'm just going to check this camera and make sure you can, this in frame. Okay. I'm just going to take my lightest color and I'm going to go over the whole dress form to add that lightest base color. Okay. And I'm going to go in with the next color, which is tea dye, and I'm going to basically do the same thing, a little more heavier toward the middle and outwards, like that. Then I'm going to use some vintage photo, and I'm going to do my edges a little more toward the surface, toward the center. Then I'm going to add the frayed burlap, and I do it heavier on one side and thinner on the other. Okay, let me wipe that off. I'm going to go in with a little more of the antique linen. I need a new pad for this one. And just to blend those in toward the center. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with the walnut stain just to darken the edges, and on one side more than the other for a shadow. So just a little around the edges, hoping you can still see this. So it gives a little of a shadow. Okay, so my dress form is inked. It's pretty good. I think it needs a little more vintage photo in it just to add more of that reddish vintage tone. Yep, that's good. That's what it needed. Okay. Move these out of the way. Now, I want to add some script onto my dress form. So I'm going to grab my embossing ink real quick. Trying to decide which color. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the white for the emboss. I'm gonna use Donna's script stamp because I really like it. So I'm just gonna rub my embossing buddy over this real quick. I'm gonna ink up this stamp. I'm just going to stamp it on the birdcage. No muss, no fuss. Definitely far from perfect, but that's all good. That's how I like it. If it's hit or miss, I don't care. Okay. So let me pour some embossing color on that. Sorry about my chair too, by the way. It is a little loud. It's old, but I love my chair. So I'm just going to add some white embossing powder onto this real quick. And just tap off the excess. Make sure it's all covered. Okay. I'm going to pour this back in here. Really quick, really easy. I'm going to heat emboss this. The Grinch board will roll up a little bit while you're heating it, but it's okay. I'll lay it back down. Alright, let me just check this real quick. A couple of spots aren't done. Let me get those real quick. The Ranger Heat tool, it embosses differently than a regular heat gun. It doesn't blow as hard, or the other ones blow with so much force, and it takes a little longer. I still love it though. But I use my other heat gun for drying flowers because it's faster, so I still use both of them. Okay. Alright, looks like we got it. So I'm going to let that cool for a second. And I'm going to use the walnut stain, the distress stain, to color this, and y'all will see how fast it inks it up. You know, if you're using the distress patch, you have to ink it and ink it and ink it to get it the coverage. So let me just show y'all how fast this is to cover and give that great color. See how fast? This would be like 4 coats of distress ink on the distress tool to get this. And the emboss, you know, it automatically resists the ink, so you don't have to really mess around with that. So I'm going to let that dry for a second. And what I do, let me just flip this over, is the birdcage is a lot wider than the dress form. And if you like that, that's fine. But I want to trim it down. So what I do is I just go in with a rough cut here, here, and up toward this way. And the same thing on this one. Just rough cut them. And then I'll go in and I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to make that cut smoother. And the same thing on this side. Just cut them off as even as I can. And then on this part, I need it to be shorter. So I use the back side because it's a little easier to see it. And I just cut that, just round it off. Just cut it real easy like that. So there's the frame. I'll throw these away. So there's the frame for my dress form that's going to go here. So I'll be back in just a minute and we'll finish up.